It's a favorite week for little children. Purim, which is Rabbi Hashem will be this Sunday. So what I decided to do today, is different than every other week, is to discuss some of the very interesting points that stand out from the holiday of Purim. But before we do that, I have to give you an introduction to what happened in Purim so many years ago. Actually, more than 2,000 years. Briefly, what happened was that the Jewish people, when they were thrown out of Israel after the destruction of the first temple, many of them settled in Babylonia, which is today Iraq. Others went on to Persia, the surrounding areas. The capital city of the Persian Empire was Shushan. Shushan today is close to Hamadan. Yeah, it's the same thing. It's close by, right? And they had a very comfortable life there at one time because the king supposedly was a good king, Ahasuerus. So they were having a good time. They were invited to his parties and they went to his parties. And they had a good time. And because they had a good time, they forgot about their real purpose of what they're doing there. That they were here only temporarily, that they don't belong there, they belong in Israel. Because they were having a good time, they had a comfortable life, they got, like you say in English, carried away. Until something very strange happened. If you read the story of Esther, the Megillat of Esther, you will find that the king had a princess. Every king has a princess. Some kings have more than one princess. But at least one. His first princess was Vashti. And he supposedly had a good relationship until something happened. And that's when he wanted to show her off, to show off her beauty to all his friends. And he told her, he commanded her to come without anything on her, to show off how beautiful she was. And of course she was about to do that, but the night before, the rabbis tell us that she became infected with leprosy, with all sorts. She no longer looked beautiful, she looked ugly. She didn't want to come anymore. Because she didn't want to come, I'll make the story short, the king's advisors convinced the king, this is not a good woman, this is not a good princess for you, she doesn't do what she's told to do. They hanged her. After all, of course, the king said, let's look for somebody else to take her place. She has to be beautiful, intelligent, kind, all the good qualities. And they found, of course, Esther. Esther was the one chosen to replace Vashti. Meanwhile, what's happening? Mordechai, who was one of the leaders of the Jewish people at the time, he overhears a conversation of two guards. The two guards of the king their names were Tiktan and Teresh. They were speaking Turkish. Why were they speaking Turkish? Because they were Turkish, they were not Persian. They were speaking Turkish, and they wanted to speak their language because they thought that nobody would understand it because they were plotting against it. They wanted to assassinate. So they said, let's speak a language that nobody knows in Persia. Turkish. So they were speaking Turkish, but they didn't realize that the Jewish people are international. They know several languages in different places, especially Mordechai, who was at the time had been in the main court of justice. They had to know the main languages in the area. He overheard them, how they planned to poison it. Because he overheard them and he understood the language, he went and told them they were caught, the king's life was spared, they were hanged. The custom in those days was, if you did a good thing, it was written down in the books. So Mordechai's good deed was written down. This story went by as an incident and it was forgotten about by everyone. Meanwhile, Ahasuerus appointed a new guy, his second hand. His name was Haman, a wicked man who hated the Jewish people. And according to the tradition, he was the descendant of Amalek. Amalek represents the greatest enemy of the Jews. Amalek comes from Esau, but Esau split into two. Esau split into two. Esau split into Edom, which is the Roman Empire, and Amalek was his grandchild, a branch of Edom.
The leader of all the evil.
It's Amalek. It's from Esau, right? But it's the country. Esau is divided. Just like Abraham Avinu had two boys, Ishmael and Isaac. Esau also, he has offshoots.
Well, we have Erev Rav, Amalek,
Right.
Bi'am. How many names can Satan have?
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. It's a big subject. That's a very big question. Need to look at later. We'll talk about that. So Haman, of course, as soon as he had the opportunity, he was in the position. He made a decree. He convinced Ahasuerus, let's get rid of the Jews. In all the countries that are under your subordination, the Persian Empire then was a very powerful empire, not like today, right? So they were He ruled over all the countries. And of course, as soon as that decree came out, everybody was terrified. Meanwhile, to make things worse, Mordecai, whenever Haman would come by, would never bow down to him, never give him any respect. Everybody else gave respect, the second in command. He bowed down, he kissed his hand, if you got a chance, Mordecai, by principle, did not want to bow down to this wicked man. There's several reasons for this. That made things worse, it got him even angry. The story goes on that everything was ready to carry out the plan of this decree, to fill out, to wipe out all the Jews. And once something is sealed with the stamp of the king, you can't change his mind so easily. Those days they had the mail system. You know how they delivered the mail? They had very fast camels. It was kind of a camel. I forgot the name of it. They used it a lot in the Sahara Desert, portions of Asia.
Racing camels?
Yeah, but there's a name to the racing camel.
Dromedary.
Yeah, that's right. See, you're not good. Dromedary.
Thank you.
What was that again?
Dromedary.
Dromedary.
Anyway, they're a very fast camel. That's how they deliver.
I've seen those kind of.
Yeah. Very fast camel.
We gotta give her credit.
Yeah, sure. Remember that. Anyway, they delivered all over. They decreed that on this day the Jews should be destroyed. Of course, they were fasting for 3 days. I'm not necessarily going into order, but I'm giving you that approximate idea of what went on. Meanwhile, we forgot, but who was the queen, the new queen? Esther. Esther was told by Mordecai, who was her uncle and her adopted father, never revealed to the king whose nation you are from. Just be a good, nice person with him, but never reveal to him where you come from. Of course, the story goes on that Haman was getting angrier and angrier, and he wasn't satisfied with just the strong people. He wanted to get rid of Mordecai. So one night, when he was gathered with his family members at home, he says, how can I take care of Mordecai? I have to get rid of this man. So his wife, who was also an evil woman, told, go tomorrow morning and tell Hashverosh, make a big post in the public square and hang him from this big post, wood post, and get rid of him. And he decided that was a good idea. Meanwhile, Hashverosh was asking Esther, what can I do for you? How can I please you? I see your father so much lately upset, you're depressed. So she didn't want to tell her why she was depressed. First she said, I'd like you to come with Haman to the party that I would like to make with you tomorrow. Haman, of course, was pleased that he's getting all his honors. At the party, the king asked, what else can I do? She said, come to another party that I will make. Is that it? I'm willing to give you half of my kingdom. When the time comes, I'll let you know what I want. But meanwhile, I want to invite you again. Meanwhile, Haman is on the seventh heaven, like you say. He's very happy, he's satisfied. As he goes by Mordecai one more time after the party, he gets angry again because Mordecai doesn't move, doesn't budge, doesn't doesn't show him any signs of respect. What should he do? That night, that following one of the parties, the king did not go to sleep. He couldn't fall asleep. Back then they didn't have the pills that they have today. He couldn't fall asleep. So he asked one of his servants, please bring to me the Sefer of Zichronot, the book of memories, where everything is recorded, what happened in the empire, the country. Nothing better to do, so I'll read it. Meanwhile, he's reading, he says, oh, this happened a little while ago. This guy Mordecai did me a big favor, he saved my life. Did we ever reward him? They said, no, we never rewarded him. Okay. As soon as he heard that he was never rewarded, he hears footsteps in the courtyard. Haman already came with his plan to bring Mordecai. Who's coming? He asked. Oh, it's just Haman coming. Call him. And he asked Haman, what should I do? How do you reward somebody who you like? So Haman is thinking, who else would the king like? That's the king. So he immediately started thinking what he would like. But in his mind, he would want for himself. And he says, no, King Ahasuerus, I think the person who you really like and trust and respect, you should dress him up with the best type of clothes that a king would wear. You should ride him on the king's horse. And he should be led in the public street, and everybody should hear the announcement. So should be done for the man who the king likes. In other words, give him a lot of publicity, dress him up. This is a nice reward for this man. Let everybody see it. As soon as the Haman finished saying or describing what you should do, Hashverosh says, that's a great idea. Go ahead and take this idea and do it for Mordecai. He was without any expression, of course, but he immediately was told what he was instructed to do. And the story goes on real quickly, that as he dressed up Mordecai and put him on the horse, he was going down the street. His daughter, from a balcony, saw what was going on. She thought, Haman's daughter thought, that the guy on the horse was her father, and the guy leading the horse was Mordecai. But it was really the opposite. She went and took a bucket of what's the best word in English?
Sewage.
Sewage, that's a good word. I can't think of a more diplomatic way. Dirt, sewage. Everybody know what sewage is?
Yeah.
What?
From a horse.
No, probably their own. Because in those days they didn't have that. Yeah, buckets, they threw it out somewhere. So she decided to take a bucket of sewage and throw it on the guy who's leading the horse, who was Mordecai. And sure enough, she found out she threw the bucket on her own father, and she committed suicide. She threw herself off the balcony once she found out. Anyway, that was a small incident that was related, that's why I told it to you. Haman is seeing his woes, his miseries multiplied. He lost his daughter, here he gave honor to Mordecai. He comes home and tells his wife, what should I do? His wife says, you know what, by the way, I forgot to tell you, Mordecai, if this guy who you call Mordecai is Jewish, you're in for some trouble. Because we have experience with the Jews. You know, but they haven't got it. So he went, as he's discussing his woes with his family, they call him to Esther's party. He was invited to come to Esther's party again. He comes to the party, and this time at this party, sure enough, Esther was ready. Tell me, Esther, what can I do for you? Please let me know. I'd like to see you have my king. So she said, and again, I cannot dramatize it enough. You have to read the Megillah and see it in her words. That we were selected from all the people in the world, all the nations that you control, to be persecuted and to be killed, men, women, and children on this very, very day. Hashem says, you people were chosen? Who dare do that? Who is the guy that made this decree? Who is the one that planned such a terrible thing? She said, this Haman HaRasha, this guy sitting next to you. And Haman, of course, as soon as he hears that from the terrorists inviting him to his party, he was shocked. So meanwhile, Hashverosh was shocked himself, so he steps out to the garden and has to take some fresh air, get some fresh air. As soon as Hashverosh steps out, Haman goes over and begs for his life to Esther, because he realized that his end was over. He begged for his life, and according to tradition, an angel came, pushed him on those days they sat like on little quilts or couches on the floor. You know, they didn't have chairs. They had chairs, but they used like little cushions. They were like small beds on the floor. So everybody had their own little, like they do take Japan. Japan, you see that the floor itself. This was a real. Anyway, so according to tradition, an angel pushed him, and he was like falling on the bed of Esther. And at that moment, the Hashverosh comes back, and you also want to take away my queen? That too, on top of everything? Then comes along Hashverosh, the minister, the king of Hashverosh, by the way. And this is the same guy who wants to get rid of your beloved Mordecai. He prepared a big tree, a big post to hang it. So yeah, we'll go ahead and hang him on it. That was the end of Haman and his family. After that, of course, Esther begged to nullify, to eliminate the decree. That's where, of course, the story of Purim goes on to its finish, where the opposite occurred. Instead of the Jews having suffered the fate of being wiped out, they in turn punished their enemies, the ones who tried to kill them. So what happened in Purim is what? The Nahapohu. Everything was exactly the opposite of what we thought was going to be. This is basically the story of Purim, which is a very festive day to commemorate the miracles that occurred then and that occur in every generation. And how do we commemorate it? Of course, by sending gifts to our friends, by giving charity to the poor. It's a very happy day. We're supposed to drink more, supposed to, eat, a good meal. It's a very special day. I wanted to bring out the story to point out 12 points. There are 12 points that I found in this story that are very important principles in Judaism. Whoever remembers the 6-Day War in Israel, 1967, most people don't know the details. I was even a very young boy then. A lot of information I found out later. The mood in Israel was very depressing. My father even tells me all the time, he remembers it. They were digging up mass graves. They were preparing for the worst. They were surrounded by all the Arab armies. Nasser warned that he's going to throw them in the sea. Jordan was on this side. Iraq was on this side. All the Arab countries, millions against a very few Jewish people. Again, the story repeated itself. The Jews wanted the impression that the doom was coming. And what happened? One of the greatest miracles of the century occurred. That in 6 days, they wiped out all the air forces, all the airplanes of all the Arab countries who were neighbors of Israel, defeated them and conquered a lot more territory than they were given in 1948. And everything was done in 6 days with not as many losses or as many casualties as you might think there would have been. There's always casualties, but not as many. Yet the miracle was so great that even the nations of the world, non-Jews, were bewildered. They were, hey, it's incredible, how could this happen? It was unbelievable. Again, recorded as one of the greatest military or achievements or feats in recorded history. 6 days. Again, the odds were against them. And what happens then now? The opposite occurs. When the situation arises that looks bad, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. It could be that there's something to it.
Every curse is
In the sky. There's blessing in the sky. When something looks bad, it's not necessarily bad. When you have a bad dream, you think it's bad, it's not necessarily a bad dream. You could have a much more positive interpretation. The problem is that we live a very short life. Some of us live 60, 70, 80 years, and we don't see a whole picture. Imagine if you were living during the time of World War II. You were, let's say, 20 years old. You were in the camp of Auschwitz. In the camp of Auschwitz, there was a doctor by the name of Mengele. Mengele decided your life. You were going to live or you were going to die. He had a row of people who came into the camp, and depending on his whims and his decisions, he says, you go to the right and you go to the left. The right means the gas chamber was the other way around, and the other direction means that you were going to work. Sometimes a mother was separated from her child. The mother went here, the child went. What did it depend on? He figured if you were too young, you couldn't work. If you were off in the gas chamber. If you were too old or weak or sick, you for sure couldn't work. He only took teenagers like 13, 16, 30, who were healthy, who looked okay. Let's use them up now. Let's make them work, and then we'll get rid of them. So I know a lot of people who were really only 12 years old, but they were tall, and they looked older and they lied. And so because after a while they figured out what he wanted and what he was looking for, and that's how they were able to save their life. The reason I mentioned this is that if you were standing there, and you were asking yourself, what's all this? Why are people dying in this? What do we do wrong? Why is this happening? And of course, the answer is now, there's no brief answer to that. You have to read Jewish history from the beginning till the end to try to understand what this episode means, because it's not the first episode. There's been similar episodes before. And I've always used the example of a movie. You come to a theater, and the movie is 3 hours long, and you come at an hour, after 2 hours have elapsed, you came late. You won't be able to understand what's going on. What's going on? Oh, sir, you should have been here from the beginning. You would have said, well, what's going on? You would understand and appreciate what's going on now, right? If you don't read the script of the movie, then you don't know beforehand what's going to happen. If you come late, you for sure don't know. The only way to understand what's going on in Jewish history, what's going on today in Israel, is to read Jewish history. Because the prophets told us what to anticipate, what to expect. And even if the times are difficult, we know what the end will be. The end result will be good. All the movies, even though they're bad, there's tragedy, right? At the end, usually the good guys win, right? You ever see a movie where the bad guys won? I don't think Hollywood wants to make such. It wouldn't sell, right? The good guys always win, supposedly. In the end, that's exactly what will be. Right now, we're living through difficult times. We don't know what's going on. But it resembles in a way like it resembles Purim in many ways. In that we don't understand what the chain of events is. Why was Esther chosen to replace Vashti? Why did Mordechai happen to hear a conversation of two people who were contemplating to assassinate the husband? You see how these events, we don't understand. When you first start reading the Megillah, which you will on Sunday, you walk to what's going on over here? He just happened to overhear them? Americans believe in something called coincidence. The Jewish people don't believe in coincidence. There's no such thing as a coincidence. He was there for a reason. He was there at the right moment, at the right time to overhear a very important conversation. You know why? Because later on, that would come in handy. He would be repaid the favor that he did to the king. But she was hanged and replaced by Esther because she will play an important role. Everything does not make sense in the beginning. What's happening? Until later on, once you read the whole Megillah, Oh, everything fits beautifully. This is what was intended. This is what was meant from the very beginning. What was meant from the very beginning? As I mentioned in the beginning, what was meant was that the Jewish people at the time were very comfortable. So you might say, what's wrong with that? Well, there's something very wrong with that. Because when people become very comfortable, have a good life, when they become complacent, that's a good word, and they forget where they are. They're out of Israel, their temple was destroyed, the Jewish people have been dispersed, and this is happening today in America too. A lot of Americans have beautiful homes, good furniture, and are very happy. They're making triple-digit salaries after taxes. And you ask them, do you ever think of going to Israel? Israel? Maybe for a visit. You know, I'll go to Masada. I'll go see the Western Wall. It's yours. It's your home. People ask me, why do you want to go back so much? I tell them very simply, I was kicked out by the Romans. They kicked me out. They destroyed my house. Now I have a chance to go back. Why shouldn't I? Isn't that my house? Isn't that mine? They kicked me out and I have to go back. Why shouldn't I? Oh, people have technical reasons why they can't go back. But the ideology, the heart should still be there. You should want it. You should make preparations. At least visit. It's yours. Why people don't? Because they've forgotten about it. They've forgotten the custom. They call themselves Americans. They don't call themselves Jews. Or they call themselves Canadians or Englishmen. I'm British, they say. What British? You're Jewish first. Then you're a British citizen. By the way, I don't know if I should tell you this, but I never became a citizen in this country. I could have become a citizen 20 years ago if I wanted to. I have a green card. I'll tell you why. Even though everybody's convincing me. I'm a Brazilian citizen, but I was born there. And with a green card, you have almost every single right in this country, except one. You know what that one right is? Voting. Voting? Yeah, I'm not allowed to vote. And I really miss it.
Yeah, sure.
Who would I vote for? I don't know.
You want to start curing you?
Hey, that's the advantage. That's one advantage. That's the kids I tell my wife. I don't have to go to Judy, because she's always bothered with Judy doing it. She gets 3 calls a year. I'm not bothered with Judy doing it. Anyway, the reason why it's not really become, even though the Brazilian government doesn't change this law, it used to not allow double citizenship. Because I didn't want to lose the other one. Why should I lose it? My father would always tell me, what do you have from that government? You don't have to go back to live there. You don't need it, just replace it. I don't want to replace it. Is this one any better? There was a time that if you were an American, it was dangerous, especially if you were in the Middle East. The Americans were not necessarily lying. Does the Brazilian have any problems with anyone in the world? Not that I know of. I felt more comfortable with that citizenship. Now Brazil changed the law. I'm still not going to become a citizen. You know why? I'll tell you why. What is a citizen? A citizen means that you have adapted to this country as your country. With the green card, you're still what they call an alien. Not an alien from our a resident alien. You're allowed to work, you have all the rights, but you're still not a full citizen. Good, that's the way I always want to feel. Because I'm truly only a citizen of Israel. That is my land. That is my country, that's where I'm a true citizen. And I can go there anytime. And I plan on going there after Pesach. What? It's my country, it's my land. I can go anytime I want, and nobody should be able to stop me. I only need a passport because I have to show where I came from. But in reality, if you're Jewish, you have the right to come in.
You go for a visit or?
Yeah, for a visit. But I'm going to be, it's not really a visit, I'm going to recharge my battery. See, when you go to Israel and you spend a few weeks there, you feel something spiritually.
Rabbi, can't you bring Israel in?
What?
Can't you bring Israel in on Israel here as a whole?
On the internet, you can bring it.
No, I'm Jewish cooking.
A little bit, yeah. You're right. Everywhere where there's a Jewish community, you have some of Israel. You have a little bit of the temple here, a little bit of. You're right. It's better than nothing, but it's not the same. So anyway, let's begin. I want to begin tonight's 12 points that stand out when you read the Megillah, which I encourage you to read, even if you can't do it on Sunday. You have an English translation if you don't understand the Hebrew. There's 12 points that stand out. Point number 1, which is the most important point of the whole Megillah, which is an important principle in Judaism, is that God controls everything. He is behind the scenes. He is moving everything. This is a very important principle in Judaism because some people have a hard time with that. How could He allow this to happen? if he's really around, why doesn't he do something about it? Why did he let 7 innocent girls get killed in Jordan by some wicked soldier? You mean he wants that to happen? People have many questions. It's okay to have a question, but don't go to sleep with it. Try to find the answer. Because if you don't get the answer, it will bother you, and it will accumulate. Question after question will accumulate in your mind without an answer, and you will feel an anger towards God after that. God forbid, an anger towards who knows what. So if you're a person that has that question, it's okay. Well, it's welcome, but find the answer. Go to the sources who have the answer. So this is an important principle. He did not only create the world, he's still around. He's behind the scenes. He's not necessarily observable, especially after the temple was destroyed. Rabbis tell us that he's not as observable. You have to look hard. You have to try to figure out why something happened. Then say it has to be a miracle. 39 Scud missiles hit Israel one after another in that one central one. Nobody was practically killed by it. Just look at what happened missile did to the United States compound in Saudi Arabia towards the end of the war. Even Mr. Rabin, who was very not religious, far from being religious, got on the radio and said, I'm not a religious man, but I have to admit this was a miracle. Well, 39 miracles. So, if you open your eyes and you want to observe, you will see, hey, something doesn't make sense. I mean, the Jewish people were persecuted by the Romans. They were butchered by the Ukrainians, by the Nazis. Every generation they're persecuted, they're thrown out, they're killed, and they're still around. Mark Twain is not Jewish, and he was wondering about it. How come our own brothers and sisters not wondering? Well, there's only one justification. People are very busy. I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. They're very busy. You have to take the time to think about it. But that's not right, because before you know it, your life is over. And what did you do with it? You work so hard. For one, if you ask a person, why are you working so hard, especially a Jew? I'm working so I can give my kids a good life.
What is the
definition? You ask the kids, why are you working so hard so I can give my kids a good life? So it's continuous. That's all what life is all about. So we work for our kids and kids for their kids. The non-Jews, by the way, don't work for their kids. Every time at work, which I'm amongst Jews, when I tell them what I'm working for and what I'm saving for so I can buy my kids a home, so I can marry them off. You mean you have to do all of that? He says, yeah. We are proud to help our children. One of the things I tell that I can understand in this country is how come you Americans, as soon as you become 13 years old, you move out of your parents' home? Well, heck, not only do you move out of your parents' home, if you wouldn't, your parents would kick you out. But no, it's mutual. I would think it's not mutual. The parents really want the kid. No, I already found out. It's mutual. The parents don't want it. They want the privacy. We have enough of him. 13 years. Let's spend some time together after all. We can't handle it. We can, yeah. And he, of course, likes it. He wants no privacy. His parents are always bothering him. In Latin America, in Mexico, the boy gets up to tell his parents at the age of 6, Daddy, moving out. They'd be mourning. In mourning, you know what mourning is? Abeluz. What, are we not good enough for you? Nobody even thinks of that. In Mexico, everybody's taking their parents home. Everybody wants their mother's food. Until they get married, then they make their own home. There's only one exception, of course. If the boy goes to a dormitory in a faraway distant city, whoever thinks about it. But here, everybody has become very dependent and couldn't care less. That is why this country is a big challenge to the Jews, because people, human beings, adapt. They absorb from their peers in society. And even Jews are beginning to live together with girls instead of getting married to them. Why should I marry when I can just live together? No, they're learning this. They're assimilating all these ideas in this Western civilization, which is contrary to what the Torah teaches. That marriage is something beautiful, something so holy. That you should try to consummate it as soon as possible, not wait too long. Because if you wait too long, there's many temptations and challenges, and it's not a good idea. It's healthy to get married young, and don't be too picky. Take a girl who has a good background. What's happening today, especially in this country, and a little bit in Israel, people are not looking necessarily for a girl or a boy who has a good background. Does he have money? That's what I want. That's not right. That's not good, because money comes and goes. But if the girl or the boy has a good character, that's what's important. That's what's going to go over to your children. The money may disappear in one lawsuit. or in a big earthquake, and you were not insured, and you happen to just be living in Sherman Oaks at the time, who knows, right? Money comes and goes, but good character, good nature, good background, this is what your children are going to get, right? But people are not looking at the right things, their priorities are mixed up. Here you have another situation where people would rather buy the latest car of the year. I have to have the latest car because my neighbor has it. But their child, they will not send to a Jewish private school. They would rather send them to a public school. You know what? It's free. Yeah, but what about all the drugs and the crime? I'm going to give them a Hebrew 2 twice a week. That won't take care of the problem. Again, people are not thinking that money has become the day they go to camp. People are worshiping. But anyway, getting back to what we were saying before, this is an important principle of Judaism, that God behind us. If we don't understand something, it's okay. It doesn't mean that there's a problem. It doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. It means that we have a question. We have to look for the answers. In Purim, it's evident because in the beginning it's not obvious. But in the end, it becomes. After you see the whole chain of events, you see that he's behind the whole. That's point number 2. Point number 2. What becomes obvious from the actions of Mordechai is never bow down to pressure. Don't give up. What is happening in Israel today? Israel is being under depression. The United States and other countries in the world. Not to do this, not to do that. Could you imagine? They're telling us not to build in Jerusalem. Forget about Gaza, which is also part of Israel. Jerusalem, which has always been the capital of the Jewish people, a Jewish city, 100%. Everybody knows that. It's in all the history books, even in the books of the atheists. Jerusalem, the kingdom of David. No, you can't build in Jerusalem. I have never heard of such a spot. But it doesn't surprise me on the other hand, because as we will soon see, there's a reason for that above. Why we're having so many obstacles getting back our country. It's not coming easy. Obviously there's a reason for it. Good people don't come easy. Obviously something is wrong. Right? Remember, according to the Torah, when we left Egypt, he parted the Red Sea for us. Right? When we entered Yeshua, right? We entered the land of Israel, no problem. We won all the wars. The walls of Jericho tumbled. They fell apart. They were miracles. Right now, obviously, this is wrong. We don't have the same extent of miracles, the same people conquering and getting back our land. So anyway, the point I wanted to make is from Mordechai you learn, don't bow down. Don't be concerned with what he says, be concerned with what he says. They're concerned about being, what's the word? The United Nations, being, what's the word for it? Sanctioned or condemned. They're concerned about a condemnation coming from this building in Manhattan. Who cares? Why do they care so much? They're not concerned about what he has to say, unfortunately. So again, from Mordechai, we see that it's a lot more important to be concerned. What are his thoughts right now? Are we doing the right thing or the wrong thing? Forget him. Okay? Don't bow down to pressure. Don't be afraid of any threats. The third point is to remember that God always fights our wars. When the Jewish people were concerned that the Egyptians were pursuing them, they're after us. What should we do? What does Moshe tell them? Hashem yilachem lachem, v'atem tachayishu. He will fight your war. You just keep fighting. Don't yell. Don't talk. He will fight your war. We have a tradition that if the Jewish people are meritorious, if they have the chuyot, he fights the wars. No problem. We don't have to be concerned that there are decrees, that they're going to gang up against us, that they're going to make sanctions against us, that they won't supply us with armament. Arms is not what won the Jewish war. By the way, if you read Jewish history, especially the 1948 war, it was not ammunition that won that war. We had very little ammunition. I encourage you, if you ever had a chance to read about that war, it was not ammunition that won that war. It was miracles. I'm telling you. Even if you ask the Arabs, they say, we don't know what happened. We just got scared all of us. Let's go to Yom Kippur War. Yom Kippur, which was a lot of losses of life. Do you know that the Syrian army advanced in Israel, deep into Israel? They were not stopped. Nobody came to stop them. So after, I don't know what it was 2 days of going, their main guy, their main commander said, something's wrong here. There's no challenge to our troops. It must be a big trap. Let's go back a little bit. And because of that thought, this commander's mind, they didn't go deeper. It would have been a tremendous tragedy if they had gone deep. But Hashem implanted in his mind not to go beyond that. And when you ask them, what happened? I don't know what happened. We just thought that we were in for a big trap, a big surprise, a big ambush, which of course was not true. Hashem fights our wars. It's not the ammunition. Here, I'll give you an example. Most people don't know. Most of you heard about the Patriot missile, right? the Patriot missile was supposed to protect sometimes the Israelis from Scud missiles. And they were actually set up in specific areas. They didn't work very well. And when you ask the experts what happened, they worked a little bit. But what's interesting is that there was sometimes more damage done from the Patriot missile itself to the parts coming down. Even if it hit the missile, it's cut. The parts, the shrapnel came down, also did a lot of damage. In other words, so what did it help? So they say, if you're going to ask the experts the question, they're going to say, well, I guess the Patriot was not intended to protect the base. It was intended to protect the base. That's not a truth, it's not a good answer, because what happened at the American base? It was not a city, it was a base. And the Patriot hit the missile. It did. Was the 35 Americans that were killed? The missile was hit. It was only a piece. The piece that had, of course, the warhead, destroyed the compound and killed 20 people. So what's happening? The experts are not telling you the truth. In reality, the reason why the Patriot missiles were not sufficient, they are good, is because he didn't allow them to. Well, you know why? Imagine what would have happened if all the people were done. Imagine every one of the 39 missiles, bang. Thank you very much, Uncle Sam. Send some more. They worked perfectly. Thank you. If it wouldn't have been for you, we would have been gone. Thank you, Uncle Sam. What about him? Thank you to him. Oh, he didn't help us. The Patriot was wrong. What did he do? No, they're not going to work. They didn't work. It was almost, they barely worked. They did all the damage they can do. And then came another miracle. But it was killed. So it was so clear. But if you take somebody who's stubborn, who's a big atheist, just a coincidence. People try to find all sorts of excuses, but it's an undertone. Hashem fights our wars. The third point, the fourth point. The fourth point is not what we see from the lesson we learned from Shushan, from Purim, is the Jewish people should never feel comfortable where they are. The Jewish people felt very comfortable in Germany up to the point of World War II. Germany was a great society. People went to hear Philharmonic, what's the word for it? Concerts! In Vienna, Austria, Germany were all civilized people. They were dressed, they spoke, the language, the grammar. It's true. It was always, the German people were supposedly very cultured, but they were worse than animals. What happened? Never take for granted that what happened in Germany cannot happen. Don't think that this is the right place to live, this is paradise, it's beautiful. Now let me tell you what's going to happen here. I'm saying the United States of America. I'm not a prophet, okay? But I'll tell you based on experience, a little bit of what the rabbis tell us, what the prognostics of the Jewish people is. I hope nothing bad happens to them, but this is what is possible. We're not going to have concentration camps. No. But let me ask you, does it make a difference somebody kicks you out of the country, like happened in Europe many times, or imagine something else, a different scenario. The crime becomes so unbearable that people don't decide to pick up. What's the difference? There's no difference. They both have the same result, the same outcome. The people had to leave. The crime is not getting any better. It's getting worse. Drugs is getting worse. Bank robberies one after another. I wouldn't be surprised if a few years from now it becomes unbearable and people do not feel safe to go. When I was here in the 70s, people used to walk at any hour of the day and night. Of course you didn't go to Watts at that time. Today, people have to go in groups if they're walking at 7 or 8 p.m. to somebody's house on Friday night and get a car. Because they're afraid of it, hold up, or whatever. Why should it be like that? Eventually, this takes a toll. Now imagine if on top of that, the economy and other things happen. What am I doing over here? So, some of us are going to come there before because we want the first row. First row, right? Some of us want the first row first. But it's okay. Whenever you come, you come. But never take it for granted that you're in good hands. This government will take care of it for you. Everything will be just fine. Never take it for granted. Because in Shushan, they were very comfortable. Until Achad Rosh decided Hamas crime is acceptable. And he turned his heart and he changed his mind overnight. It was overnight. How could this happen? It should happen any. Point number 5. It's obvious from the story of Purim when somebody prays, fasts, cries to God, he listens. Because we saw that after the 3 days of fast, after the crying, the weeping, and the repenting, that had an effect. Hashem, that's basically what he was waiting for. As I will point out later on, sometimes things are difficult just to bring about that. Sometimes a couple does not have children for a number of years. Why? There's different reasons why people do not have children. That's a different topic for a different night. But one of the reasons is simply because he's waiting for them to ask for it. People think, when I was first taking my exam to drive, they told me on the thing, on the booklet that I was reading, that to drive in California is not a right, it's a privilege. In other words, you have to take an exam, you have to learn the law. You just don't get to drive because you're 16 years old. You have to know the rules. So the same applies over here. With the Jewish people, especially with the Jewish people, if something is wrong, you can't just say, why me? Why not him? Somebody's not having a child and do anything wrong. No, it's not necessarily do something wrong. It's not a right. Who says you automatically have to have a child? It's a privilege. Maybe he wants you to pray to him. Maybe he wants you to do something about it. So again, there's many reasons, more than one reason why a couple might not have a child. But that's just sometimes one of the reasons. He wants you to pray, ask him. Because what's prayer all about? Prayer is making a connection. If people would always be happy and have everything they want, they would never pray and ask for them, and they would forget about it.
Rabbi,
Yeah.
I could just follow food. The man after taking care whether we work at the pray, because
Because of what?
he has everything. There's nothing that.
Right, but that's the connection that we make. The mitzvot is the connection, the link that we have with
He
it.
doesn't need anything from us.
Right, he doesn't
He has
need it.
everything.
We're the ones that need it.
He
You're right.
doesn't give a damn whether we pray or beg or anything.
And it does make a difference.
Maybe
Because again,
at the end.
ultimately the fear, there's a pasuk, there's a verse in Isaiah that says, the fear of God is his treasure. What does it mean behind the word, the fear of God is his treasure? So the rabbis explain, God has everything. Gold, silver, the whole world is his. Like you said, he doesn't need this everything else. So that's why Isaiah says, the Shayal says, the fear of God is his treasure. He does, what's treasure? A treasure is something that is very rare. You keep it in your treasure box, right? What's rare? You have fear for God. That he doesn't have in his treasure box. That comes from us. That does not belong to him. That's what he keeps that in his treasure box. So all of the mitzvot that we do, the Purim, the Tzitzit, the Kiddush, the Shabbat, is just to maintain a strong link with him. The kippah that we put is to remind us of his presence. All of these are necessary for us, not for him. The blessing that we make before we eat an apple, and after we finish eating the apple, he doesn't need a blessing. It's to remind us to say thank you. He provides it. Don't forget that. You were not the one that made the money yesterday. It was not your intelligence or your college degree that got you this job. He got it for you. He provides you with this. That's the idea of the blessing, that's the idea of the believing, that's the idea of every mitzvah, is to remember where everything comes from. Right? Okay, let's go on. Number 6, this is one of the most interesting parts of the whole Purim. Anybody over here hear the pasuk, Hinei lo yanum velo yishan shomer Yisrael? Sure. David says God does not sleep or take a nap. But let me tell you a real fascinating story. Anybody in a hurry? Let's take a little bit. There was once a terrible priest, Catholic priest, that was not successful in getting the Jews to become Christians, Catholics. So he decided on his plan. He's going to come to the king and say, King, dear king, I had a dream last night with a big angel. And the angel told me that if the Jews in this country do not convert to Catholicism, your whole kingdom will be destroyed. He said, I understand, I respect you, but that's not enough for me to convince you that you had a dream, son. You have to be more convincing. Okay, I'm going to prove to the Jews that I can do what Moses did. Moses, according to the Torah, went upstairs and did not eat for 40 days and 40 nights. Right? Remember that? That's what the Torah says. Not eat. I'm going to prove to the Jews that I'm just as good as him. I can also not eat for 40 days and 40 nights. So he says, because I do that, I make you the king again. All right, that's good. So the rabbis were convened. Of course, they heard the terrible news. But he said that he's going to prove it, just like Moshe Rabbeinu. The Jews, of course, did not believe that he could do that. But they had no choice. The king built a little hut. The big courtyard, he made a little house. The only thing he can take into this house, no food and drink, is a big candle, that should last him for the night, a big long candle, and a book to read. No food or water, of course. And they made sure that everything was empty. The Jews got together and they started praying to God. What should they do? It's a terrible decree. And after 40 days, if this guy comes out alive, they're going to be faced with a terrible situation. What do you think happens? First day, the priest can be heard from his little hut praying loud. What would happen if somebody was really fat after 2 to 3 days? His voice would become probably weaker, right? This guy's voice was becoming better and stronger the third and fourth day. Everybody was concerned. 5, 6, the whole week went by and he's still yelling. He's still helping. Nobody knows what's going on. So they decided that they'll just wait. 39 days went by, still yelling. Now they were really. But guess what happened? The 39th night, the king was bothered. He said, something is not right. He was a good king. He said, something. Let me go when everybody's and find out what's going on. So it was pitch dark. He came close to that little hut. He made a small little hole inside the hut. So small that the guy inside could not see. And sure enough, what did he see? He saw the priest disassembling the big handle. It was hollow inside. And then when he was taking out food and some drink, that he had it, the handle was really hollow. Oh, now I figured it out. Now the problem is, how will I break the Jews? The Jews have to think of a way, not to embarrass him and this and that. He has to be a diplomat. So he called the rabbi. Rabbi, I have a question. I never understood what David said. What does it mean? Rabbi says, God does not take a nap. He does not sleep. The guardian of Israel. He says, no, Rabbi, that's not the interpretation. I'll tell you what the real interpretation is. God does not sleep. He doesn't let others sleep. Why doesn't he let others sleep? Because he's watching over the Jewish people. He didn't let me sleep last night. Because of that, I found out something. I found out that this priest who claims that he does not eat is really eating. So Rabbi, you have to come up with a nice diplomatic, tactful challenge to this priest. He should never know how we discover it. So I said, okay, fine, I'm thinking of something. The next day, it's only a day, all the goyim, the non-Jews, were becoming a large mob to lynch the Jews. The birth of God, the big day came, the final day, lasted for 40 days. So the rabbi tells the king already was aware of it. Rabbi, dear king, I also had a dream with an angel. And the king said, what do you mean you had a dream? Don't tell me about dreams anymore. You saw it, the king was playing. And so he's telling, you saw for a fact that this priest is a holy man. He fasted. Do what I tell you. Please, could you hear my dream? All right, we'll move the dream. In my dream, a big angel came to me and said that this candle is hollow. What absurdity that the king took a candle. What do you mean this candle is hollow? He threw it on the floor, and when it fell on the floor, it broke, and some people's food was still in there. And the whole plot was uncovered. Of course, not only were the Jews saved, the priest was dragged all over the town by horses. It was like a small Purim. The reason I brought up the story is God does not sleep. He does not let others sleep. Why? Because he's always watching over the Jewish people. That is what happened also in Purim. That night, one of the nights, Hashverosh could not fall asleep. And what did he have to do? To read the books. That's where he saw what Mordecai had done for him. Oh, we never repaid him back. The great favor that he did for us. Again, what was he doing? He's watching over us. He does not sleep. He has many ways of accomplishing it. Is that sort of true? Yes, it's very true. So it happened in the 1500s, 15 or 1400s.
Which country?
Czechoslovakia.
This king was a friend of the Jews.
He was a good king, but he was pressured by the priest. The priest was very convinced. He will fast. He will not eat for 40 days. He had a dream with the big angel. Yeah.
Well, what about people who do yoga? They easily can do 40 days without food and drink.
So you can't. I don't think anybody can.
Well, yes, they can.
Or drink. But yeah, I don't think so.
They do for 40 days even, they have a tape to show that, the way they go and everything, and a lot of book describes and sort of thing.
I don't really think you can do, according to the latest report that I read, you can go 7 days without food. You can go 3 weeks just on drink without food and or water. And you can go with only food without drink for also.
You're allowed by the body and the consciousness of itself. Okay. Regulate that consciousness and try to control, kind of conquer that consciousness.
Yeah.
Then the body is not us. We are one in our body.
Yeah, I understand. So what do you think? So what do we think?
Preserve the mastery of our body. Once we can attain that, you have control over the body.
Yeah.
Because if you let the body control you, then you get the body.
Well,
Yeah, but anyway, it would be exciting to get a book load of
it's in a book by Paul Brake, I think.
Yeah.
His name Paul Brake. He describes.
But anyway, again, let's assume that it's true, that somebody could fast for 40 days. It still doesn't mean that I will have to follow it. If that particular priest was trying to convince me, very convincing by using that ploy, by using that tactics, But you're right, even if let's assume it does happen, it does not mean that it's the end of the world. It could be that he found a way to control himself, like you said. Fine, that's possible.
Assuming he's from.
Yeah.
Because, we are not a body, we are one body.
As far as I understand that God has very much to do with this situation.
Right.
And even where, the name of God is even where.
The word Hamelech.
Amen.
Hamelech refers to the name of God. But the tradition says if you read the whole Megillah, you won't find the name of God because he's hidden. In other words, because you don't see him.
But
Everything is going. No. Only at the end. I mean, no, you see, in the beginning, that's the whole idea of why it's not written. That's the whole idea, because you don't see where God is. The Jews are being persecuted, they're creating gangs up against him. Things are going wrong. So it's like he's not around.
with a band is equal to setup, it's equal to the Catholic Party. Therefore, it's supposed to be very, very acknowledged that it has to be it has to be
Open mirror.
no, it has to be like the Catholic Party.
It is. That's what we should
I mean, it has been mentioned so much that
commemorate. That's what we say Alan Nisim in the prayer book. That's what we commemorate it like that. But in the story itself, that's the whole idea why it was left out. Because you don't see him. Until the end, you don't see where he is. What's happening? What is he doing? He's allowing this to happen? His name is not there for that reason, because it's like an allusion to the fact that he's not there. It appears that he's not there, but he really is. You only see him.
When you say it's not there,
The name of Hashem. The name of Hashem does not appear in the Megillah instead. Yomer Hashem, something Hashem. But anyway, let's go on. Yeah.
I want a quick question about the tefillot you had mentioned as one of the things there. Sometimes, I think Ray mentioned it a few weeks ago, when that soldier Waxman was kidnapped, and they had a tremendous zibor there in Israel to try to influence Hashem to save this boy's life.
Yeah.
Apparently, the tefillot were not answered, at least to the standpoint of the boy died.
Right?
So
Didn't help.
it didn't help.
Right? It doesn't help all the time. Obviously, when we asked, there was many times there was a drought. They prayed and hard to do work. Obviously, something is wrong.
has to be sincere, has to be.
In other words, that we're not enough. Now, we don't have, remember, somebody, let me give you an example. What do you think is a bigger miracle? Let me give you two examples. Somebody got on the plane crashed, he survived. Or, he just missed the plane, he never got on the plane. What's a bigger miracle and which one is better? Two separate questions. Which one is a bigger miracle and which one is better?
Well, one is more obvious.
The two are miracles, okay?
I don't agree with that.
never got on the plane.
What?
Never got on the plane.
Which one is the bigger miracle?
The one that would be
Flight.
that would be the first one.
What?
The one that would be in the papers would be the one about the plane crash. The one about the plane wouldn't be the.
No. Again, on a personal level, you have Shimon. Shimon got on a plane, the plane crashed, he was the sole survivor. The same, or Shimon, a different scenario. Shimon just barely missed the plane, couldn't make it in time. He missed the flight.
He never was in any danger of missing.
Which one is the bigger
one who
miracle,
survived.
and which one is the better to be in?
The miracle is that he got survived from a crash.
Okay. The bigger miracle is obviously that if he was on the plane was completely destroyed, and he still survived. Obviously, that's a bigger miracle. However, that's not necessarily the better miracle, because it's always better not to have gone through it and suffered the shock, even if you were sick. Now, so getting back to your question, the reason why it's always better not to be in the plane is why? Because once you're in the plane crashes, the rabbi tells you, you need a lot more zechuyot, a lot more merits to save you. Why should you be saved from everybody else? Why are you anyone special? Once you are in a dangerous situation, to be saved is a lot more difficult. To miss the plane is a lot easier for God to perform than for Him to save you after the plane crashes. If He still saves you after the plane crashes, it's because you have something going for you. Obviously, right? The same thing with soldiers. I cannot tell you everything. Obviously, I cannot tell you everything that's going on upstairs as to why this happened. But God could have performed many miracles in many ways. He could have given them a heart attack. He could have made their guns jam, right? He could have made the Israeli soldiers succeed. He could have made their hearts perhaps. Who knows? There's many ways to save a person. But once you are in danger, it's a lot more difficult for God to intercede, unless there's a lot of merit. There's a tremendous movement of people wanting to change their ways. This was a bad decree, just like any other decree. It was difficult to avoid. We wish we could have avoided it. But we've had other situations where God did intercede clearly, but everybody forgot about it. They said, oh, why didn't Hashem do anything? But he did it at Tevi, he forgot about it. And Tevi was even a greater miracle than with this one individual. There was a lot more people, a lot more terrorists, a lot more dangerous, far away, 3,000 miles away. A lot more problems and a lot more, and he succeeded except for one who passed away, who got killed.
The brother of the prime minister.
Yeah, which is also very interesting. If you read through the lines, you will find out why he got killed too. But I'm not going to talk about that right now. It was good for him. Okay, I'll say it briefly. See, people, when they hear about them killed, it's a terrible thing. It's so sad. It is sad, because especially if he was married, he may have lost his wife would be with him. So I'm not going to say it's not sad. It's a big tragedy. But the Jewish faith always puts an emphasis in the fact that death is not the end of the world. There's a life after death. This individual who may not have had too many credits to his name, the fact that he participated in such a beautiful deed, such a big mitzvah of saving so many Jews, and he led it to have died in the midst of doing the mitzvah, he's going to end it automatically. So it's a tremendous thing for him. Had he continued to live, just imagine, had he continued to live, maybe he would have become a criminal. Again, I'm not saying criminal, but I mean, he could have deteriorated perhaps. He could have been an abusive husband or father. Anything could happen to an individual. He was a young man. He still had 56 years to live and to do a lot of bad things perhaps. Maybe good things too. We don't know. He knows. He knows when the right time for the person to he proved that. Could be, exactly.
Do you think that might be that influenced his brother to become supposedly the prime minister?
No. I wish it. Anyway, number 8. That's good. 7? 7, yes, number 7. Number 7, the rabbis tell us, even if a sharp sword is about to cut your head, somebody's about to be sent to the guillotine. All of you know what the guillotine is? The guillotine. The French, they didn't hang you, they didn't shoot you. They put you in a guillotine, like you do in Saudi Arabia. The guillotine is a big, sharp knife.
Like cabbage.
Guillotina. The rabbi tells us, even if a guillotine is about to chop your head off, never give up hope. Even at the last minute, don't give up hope that you will be merciful. Don't give up hope even in the last minute. Things are, it's good. It has happened many times to people who were about to go to the electric chair, or about to be handed over in prison. If something happened the last minute, the governor or somebody says, let's have you trial. Don't give up the last minute. That's what happened in Purim too. The very last minute, the decree was already sealed. It was already nailed by the camels. It already reached its destination. They were getting ready. The very last minute, almost the last second, it was overturned. All the decrees, all the books all the letters were have to be sent back. Sure. So never give up hope. A very important point to do this. Never give up hope, even if it's terrible. If it looks terrible. Here, my sister's father-in-law was in a gas chamber. They undressed them all. They told, by the way, you know what they told the people who went to a gas chamber? They're going to take a shower. So they undressed them. So they undressed them, they put them in a gas chamber. As soon as they were already in the room, the bombs came. The Americans approached the camp. The Germans ran. At the last minute that they were already in the gas chamber, the Americans came, dropped some bombs, and liberated the camp.
And everybody in that chamber was
saved. Not the ones who were in that chamber an hour or two before or a day before, but that group of people, whatever number it was saved at the last minute. Never give up hope.
This is Nakamura said about sunrise and sunset. Don't feel comfortable when it's sunrise and don't feel lost when it's sunset. It's always the sunrise.
There's something similar to that, yeah. Right.
However, instead of Purim is the only day that will be left
I'll
all the
explain that
holidays because of...
I'll explain that again. Never give up. Never lose hope. Number 8. The principle number 8 is that we have a tradition that God has many messengers who carry out this mission. The rabbi tells us of what this means. The rabbi tells us there was an incident where a rabbi was sitting at the lake, at the edge of the lake, taking a nap, and he saw something unusual. He saw a big scorpion riding on top of a turtle or a frog, whatever it was. Is that unusual? He says, where is he going? He's catching a ride. You were catching the right. And the rabbi was a smart person. That scorpion is on a mission. On a mission to bite somebody. Yeah. He went over and he went on the other side of the lake, a while to it, he found that scorpion killed somebody. We have a tradition, by the way, that all animals that attack are always sent to attack. There's no coincidence. If a human being attacks you, assaults you, he has free will. He was not necessarily told to do that. Otherwise, everybody would get away with it. I didn't do it, he told me to shoot. No, human beings have free will. Animals don't. If an animal attacks you, right, it's because the image of God is not there, so he thinks you're another animal, like a shark. If a shark eats another human being in the water, why did he do that? Because he thinks you look to him like a good, tasty seal, big fish. Unless if he were to see the image of God, instead of Elohim, as the sheep tells us, he would never attack you. So either an animal attacks you because there's no image of God on the person, he's totally unclean, or because he's sent on a mission. Now, of course, if you're going to the Santa Monica Mountains or the Hollywood Hills and you step on a rattlesnake, you might get yourself in trouble for stepping on it. But otherwise, if you don't start up with them, and an animal attacks you, it's because something, either, again, the image of God is not on you, and he's treating you like just like any other animal, or because he's told to. So the point of our mission, God has many messengers to do his mission. He has many ways of accomplishing. How did he accomplish one of his missions in Purim? Through the story of Biftat Teresh, he made them speak out loud in Turkish, thinking that they're going to get away with it, so Mordechai should overhear them. Imagine if they had suspected that Mordechai can understand, they would have gone into a private room, not speaking public, right? So again, God has many messages. He has many ways that he can accomplish what he needs to accomplish. Number 9, of course, is a very important point, and that is the Mesirut Nefesh. We see from Mordechai and Esther that the Jewish people want to be fully committed. There are brothers and sisters.
Number 8.
I skipped number 8. No, I said number 8. Number 8 was that God has many messengers, many ways to perform his mission. He can accomplish his mission in many ways. Hashem wants to get you a job. He wants to land you a job. One of the ways is he will put in your mind to open up a newspaper and to read the Sunday, what do you call it? Classified. Or he might decide, you know what? This guy never reads the paper anyway, so how is he ever going to find out about a job? I'm going to make him. He's going to be at the same table as one of the secretaries in this company in this wedding, and they're going to start talking about it. Oh, you're interested in that? Oh, we have an opening for that. See, he made the shidduch. He has many ways of doing it, and you know what? If you pay close attention in your life, you will see it happening all the time. No coincidence. He has many ways of accomplishing what he wants to accomplish. Number 9 was the Mesirut Nefesh, commitment. The Jewish cause we have to be committed, or the highest there will learn to live their life, commit themselves to the Jewish cause. So commitment is an important principle in Judaism, that for the Jewish people, we do whatever we can. I remember in when the Young People War was in the middle of the war, there was a lot of fundraising. We had to support Israel. I remember when my grandfather once arrived in Israel, the United States, and bought himself a new pair of shoes. They wanted to charge him taxes. In Israel, they charge taxes on everything. And they wanted to charge on a pair of shoes that he bought, they wanted to charge him duty. He said, well, why should I have to pay, this is for my personal use. So the guy said, listen, I won't argue with this. All I can tell you is that Israel needs money. Oh, the guy said, Israel needs money? I'll be glad to pay it. It all depends how you pay it. Israel needs money. Of course I'll help Israel. In this country, there's no real patriot. Nobody wants to pay taxes. The Jewish people know that the money is going because we have to defend ourselves. It's our land. So they wouldn't feel as bad about paying such a high tax. Every Israeli feels terrible about paying high taxes. They pay about 50% of their earnings. But if you think twice about it, you know where that money is going? It's not going into welfare systems like we have here, for people who don't want to work who are lazy. It's going usually for good causes, to help the yeshivot and schools that are supported by the government. Most of the money, I'm not going to say all the money. So you must feel different. Again, Mesirut Nefesh, commitment for Jewish causes, is obviously true. Number 10, to rely on him and not to be afraid. Esther, when she was sent by Mordechai to go to speak to Ahasuerus and to invite him, the party that I mentioned before, she couldn't just enter the room. Hi, Ahasuerus, I have an invitation for you. The custom of that king was that you had to be invited to speak to him. Esther, please call Esther, I'd like to speak to her. She couldn't just come in. She was a princess, still she couldn't come in. Anybody who went on his own risked his life. Yeah, he would have been put away. Even Esther. So Esther was risking her life by getting too close to Ahasuerus. The story, of course, goes that she didn't actually go into the room. She stood right outside the room so the king could see her. See how beautifully dressed she was. Oh, Esther, I haven't seen you so long. Come in. What made you come this way? So she was taking a chance. Again, we learn from this is that we have to trust and take chances if necessary for the important cause. You have to be afraid, just like Esther was not afraid. What is it? Emunah is faith in God. Bitachon is reliance. You rely on Him. You know that He will protect you. You know that He will do for you. You know that He gives you parnasa. You know that He does all. Trust. It's a whole different thing.
Which one?
It's much more difficult, but it's important goal. And that's what it says. You have to trust Him that He will take care of you. If you do the right thing, then He will watch over you. Don't be afraid. That's number 10. 11. We're almost done. The moment I tell us in Mishlei, don't hold back something good from your friend. If you have the ability to do something, a favor to your friend, let's say somebody asks you, we have this guy, Shimon is coming for a job interview. You know Shimon, you know everything about him, and you know something good that might get him this job. Yes, Shimon is a wonderful person. He works overtime. He's really committed to his job. I know he did this and he did that. If you have good information about somebody, don't hold back that thing, that whatever that might be beneficial to this individual. The story of Purim, we find it while the story was taking place with Haman falling on Esther, and he was already half upset, half angry. Harbonah, who was a minister, came into the scene and said, oh, by the way, this is the guy who wants to kill your friend, Mordecai, who saved your life. He just added those few words. Is that like, I would say, Akasha Shabbat Gamal. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. The word that talk about, this is the guy that Haman, by the way, he is the one that also, he wants to tomorrow kill your friend. Mordecai, remember Mordecai, who saved your life? That was like, he clinched it. He added a few words, and that's like, so that's why we say, when we say the God, Harbonah V'Cholato. Harbonah is also remembered favorably. How come Esther didn't say that? She couldn't say. She was just getting into it. And everybody had their mission. Remember, so Harbonah had a good mission. So if you have a good word to say, it might be beneficial to somebody, don't hold it back. And last but not least, number 12.
That's something good.
Last but not least is number 12. And that is, we have a tradition. That is what was evident in Purim, that if the Jewish people find themselves in trouble, like they have many times in history, they have to remember that the trouble is there for a reason. That Hashem is waiting for them to do. That's all. That's what He's waiting for them to do, and as soon as they do the Shabbat, as soon as they repent and change their ways, He will save them, He will spare them, He will release them. That is why the rabbis tell us that even though the month of Elul, before Tishrei, is the month of Teshuvah, right before Rosh Hashanah we do Teshuvah, I was explaining that Adar should also be a month of reflection, because according to the Jewish calendar, Adar is the last month of the year, because Nisan is the first month. So the Jewish people take upon themselves to do Teshuvah this month of Adar, guess what will happen this Nisan? Mashiach will come. In other words, because we have a tradition, Mashiach will come during the month of Nisan. It's one tradition. Because that's the month we left Egypt, that's the month we're going to leave this Egypt. This is also like an Egypt, right? And that is again a point that becomes evident in Purim, that the custom is that people take gifts to their friends, to charity, to try to unify, try to create unity. This country, people are living on their own. Everybody does not even know who his neighbors are. It's a problem.
Everybody has their own camps.
It's a little bit of a problem. The Jewish people cannot afford to be separate camps. They have to know about each other and be concerned about each other's well-being. Purim sets that standard, that we help each other, we provide each other. That's what we send a few gifts. You know, it's a beautiful time of the year, but we also have to understand what it's all about, not just to have fun. And I'd like to just finish with what you mentioned before. The rabbis tell us, by the way, that Purim is the only holiday that will never go away. What does that mean? That when Mashiach will come, all the holidays will go away. Except for Purim. What does that mean? It doesn't mean that the holiday will disappear. It means that the reasons for the holiday will no longer be applicable. We'll no longer have the same reason to celebrate Pesach. Because when do we celebrate Pesach? The exit of the Jews from Egypt. We'll be celebrating the exit from America. So we won't have to celebrate anymore the exit of Egypt. So that's what the rabbis meant that all the holidays will go away. Not that they will be canceled, but the reasons why we celebrate them will no longer be the same. Purim, however, the reason we celebrate Purim will always be the same. Will never go away. And that is to remember, so when we celebrate Purim, is that He's always behind the scenes. He's always watching over us. He always expects us to come back to Him, not to go away from Him. And if we're in a hard time, it's only because it's like a father and son relationship. Which father doesn't love his child? You know, a father doesn't love his child. Inside, he may show you that he doesn't love you, but inside he loves you. He may not show it to you. He may not want it to show you. He may give you a face like, I'm tough. You know, I'm good this. But inside, you're his boy. You're his most cherished possession. That's the relationship you have with him. But unfortunately, children do not love their parents as much as parents love their children.
Rabbi.
So because of that, Purim is an opportunity for us to remember that just like He has an excellent relationship, He wants to have an excellent relationship with Him, we also have to reciprocate. That is when Mashiach will come. When the Jewish people will begin to realize that there has to be reciprocity. Reciprocity. It has to be mutual. That He cannot give gifts, cannot receive. That is going to happen very soon with people, when the Jewish people will become more and more, will begin to observe. This is not a coincidence. He's making everything that goes smoothly in Israel for a reason. It's difficult. Then they will turn, not to Uncle Sam. They will turn to the correct address, which is upstairs. So ultimately, a lot of the things that we're experiencing in the 20th century is that what has happened before. History repeats itself. People don't read the history, so they think, oh, what's going on? Just go ahead and read the books. It's the same thing. The names haven't changed. The names haven't changed, the place hasn't changed, but it's the same thing. He's after you. Why? Because He's allowing it. But wait, if you do Teshuvah, if you pray to Him, this will stop. It will go away. He's your Father. He loves you. So, I don't see it. He's asking me, why is He letting this happen? Just wait. Turn to Him. Bang at the door. That's what Teshuvah is. Teshuvah means that we want to bang at the door. And it's not only once a year, it has to be every single day. We have to be careful not to get carried away, going after our livelihood, making more money, more money, more money. That's not what life is all about. We have a special mission, as the Jewish people have a special mission in this world, to be a light unto the nation, do a good job. And that is why ultimately He may have to do all of it by Himself. But if He has to do it all, if He has to do this all by Himself, there's going to be a lot of wars, a lot of destruction, which we already experienced in the Second World War. It was tremendous response. We don't want that to happen again. The good news is that we're on our way to Israel. There's already almost 5 million people being developed. Yeshivot are being established. And as the prophet Yeshayahu said, there will come a day when we will all see little children playing in the streets of Jerusalem. That day has come.